Hey everyone, Chaotic Vito here.
There he is.
Yeah, that's me.
Bro's got radio voice. It's fantastic to hear.
Right. Thank you, Jungle Mud, for having me.
Hey,
we appreciate you.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you coming on. I enjoy having you around, and it's been too long, so we've got a fun one for tonight. We'll be here for a little while because we are dredging through the toxic and treacherous depths of that horrible place we know as Reddit.
Yes. I'm looking forward to reading some of the stories. It's rough. Man, we got some bangers for you.
Some absolute heaters. I mean, we got the idea from channels like Crit Crab, Den of the Drake. That's another one. I drew a blank there for a minute. Great channels where they read a lot of stories out of the D&D subreddit and from RPG Horror Stories. So we decided we'd do a similar thing. You know me, I like making content, but I hate actually having to do the work to make content. So I think I'll just steal the idea from somebody else.
Right.
Works great for me. But without further ado, let's jump right in. We got a story.
Let's jump in.
Or a little bit of a discussion from r/D&D. DM had us play drinking games instead of the campaign. Now, this sounds a lot worse than it is when you actually read the story. I pre-read this one. This one is not nearly
a little bit of clickbait.
This person was definitely this person definitely writes for BuzzFeed or something. Like they were on point with the title. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, it drew me in at first. But it says, so our DM likes to come up with games for us to play when he's trying to build up time to write his next session, which, hey, guilty. I've had parties do entire shopping sessions when I don't know where to take them next.
Yeah.
This week, he had our characters walk into a city that was celebrating a Springtoberfest. He had us play three-legged race, beer pong, and a few others. Beer pong by far was the most interesting in my opinion and would definitely play it as an actual drinking game. We had a drunk meter from 10 to 20. The higher the number, the harder your DC check was. So if you were a 12, the DC to beat would be a 12 and so on and so forth. You roll a constitution check to see if you hit the cup, and then you roll a d10 to see what cup you got. If you roll a nat 20, the other team has to drink and take one level of drunkenness. It's definitely a different take on the game, and he does this from time to time with different games he comes up with. Does anyone else have a DM that comes up with games to play in downtime sessions? And I guess my question to you is, what are your little downtime activities that you put your players through?
Well, Jungle Mud, let me clue you in on this little chaos of the chaotic Vito world. They shop a lot. But there's definitely some good games out there. I've had some players that have brought up games that they've wanted to play. Like, hey, I've heard this really cool dice game. And they'll talk to me. We'll talk on Discord, and they'll be like, "I would love to put this in our campaign, right?" So when they're on the road, we just recently had it in our Fandovers Pact campaign, where they were on the road, and it was going to be like a 2 or 3 day trip. And the player, as a character, was like, "Hey, I have these dice," and he like explained to the other characters how it worked, and they played it, which is real nice. But honestly, ChatGPT does help with creating some random fun games other than just like gambling games, drinking games, playing blackjack. But throwing those things in occasionally are nice. Those downtime sessions are really needed if you're running mission to mission to quest to quest. So honestly, I enjoy the drinking games. We don't do it in like above table with the drinking, but just like the basic general skill versus skill checks with the flavor of rolling dice or pulling cards or chugging the mug, stuff like that. And it always brings lightheartedness into a session, and players seem to remember those sessions more than the ones we put like super effort into, which
Yeah.
is sometimes rough to think about. But hey, it's all about having fun, and sometimes it's really needed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It definitely is a big part of the characters getting to know each other, having some downtime. Typically, for every 12 sessions you run, you want to have one session where you do no combat and it's just all role play. There's no strategy here. We go into a bar and we sit down for drinks and have dinner or something like that. Um, I personally have two games that I like, and because I'm a very simple DM, I like to run what's called Black Dragon, which is just blackjack,
Yep.
and Three Dragon Ante, which
Yep.
is just three-card poker.
Yep.
Except with D&D flavor. That's a good one because you can have players who um, have proficiency in things like that have certain advantages. Maybe if you're playing Three Dragon Ante and the person next to you goes all in, maybe if you have proficiency in playing cards, maybe I'll give you I'll let you roll insight to see if they're bluffing or not, or something like that.
That's a good idea.
That's kind of PvP, a little bit of competition, but it's harmless and it's fun at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And it is a great way to get by for a 2 or 3 hour session when maybe the week has been rough to you, and and you close your eyes after your session on Friday, you open them and oh my god, it's Friday again. I have a session in 20 minutes, and you never had a chance to prep anything new, so that can always be nice.
Shopping session, game time session, RP. You guys go RP. I'm gonna sit here and write shit out.
You got any crazy stories from sessions you've run or played in?
Well, I've had simple like drinking games like Chug the Mug turn into all out brawls and a tavern burning down. And it was just supposed to be a downtime session where they had just got done with a big quest. And they're like, man, we've been on the road for days on end and we just fought this thing and some of us like almost died. And it was like really like isolated horror type stuff. So it was like very, very taxing on the players and their mental state. Not like a bad way, but like they needed the time to just recoup and chill. And then they started playing a drinking game and it didn't quite go one way. And they tried to do some sleight of hand stuff and there were some candles involved. And next thing you knew it, people were brawling and things were on fire.
Yeah. You brought up a good point there about helping to relieve some of the mental stress that some of these campaigns can put on you, because games like Lost Mines or Dragon of Icefire Peak, maybe Storm King's Thunder, they're pretty chill theme wise, but when you get into campaigns like Descent into Avernus or Curse of Strahd, those are ones that can get pretty fucking dark. It's like you're in. It's like every session too.
Yeah.
It's that's the ghost of a dead kid, and then you turn around and open the next door, and it's like, oh, this completely innocent person was kidnapped by an angry angel and turned into a horrifying mongrel thing. Like that's it's terrible. It's horrible. And having a session where they can just sit down and you can do your silly little dwarven bartender drink voice. And
always
and
cleaning the mug.
Card games. Yeah, the guy who's always sweeping or cleaning out a tankard. It's a good way to help clear the minds, ease some stress, because it can be actually like mentally exhausting to play in a campaign for that long that's that dark.
Oh yeah. So speaking of that, what's your view as far as skill checks in character versus player. Say you were given some riddles, right? And you want to have your players suss out those riddles or whatnot, right? But it turns out that you don't allow your players' characters to find them out. Basically, the players are wanted to discover these riddles, not utilizing skill checks, or vice versa. Only utilizing your character's skills and your character's like intelligence score to suss out those riddles, and not allow the players themselves to try to figure it out. You know what I mean? What's your do you have a balance in that?
I stay away from riddles.
Yeah.
Because I run all my games online. Now, if you're in
Right.
person, this is probably not a problem you have, but I run a lot of games online, and I'm sure you found in your time as a professional DM, as short as it may have been, running D&D online, especially, you are very likely to run into your meta gamer.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even necessarily blame them. It can be hard to resist because the information's right there.
Yeah.
So that can be rough. I mean, I had a player in my Curse of Strahd game.
Mm-hmm.
He was coming to me because his character died and he wanted to roll up a new character. This literally happened like 3 days ago. His character died and he wanted to roll up a new character.
Yeah.
And he was like, all right, I've got this great idea for a character. And it matches how you said you wanted to bring this character in. He's going to be somebody who was like a monster hunter, and he's like a vampire hunter in his past. And his whole thing is that he's going to be like a direct counter to Strahd himself, right?
Yeah.
And I don't even think he noticed that he said it, but he let slip that he just went straight and just looked up Strahd's stat block and just like went to like picked all his spells so that he could counter everything that he did and things like that. And I don't even, like I said, I don't even necessarily blame him, but when you're dealing with riddles or something like that, it can be very easy to just type out what the DM just said, and someone on the internet has heard this riddle before.
Yeah.
You know,
well, adversely, the other way around, if the players cannot figure out the riddle, what happens? If it's just a riddle that the players themselves aren't catching or aren't getting,
this is something that goes not just for regular riddles but for puzzles too.
Yep.
So in a lot of my one shots, I will have like Destiny style boss mechanics. So it's not just you hit the boss until he dies. Maybe every so much damage he takes, he has a shield that goes up, and you have to do something other than attack him to make that shield go down. So like for one of my campaigns, I had, it's my Christmas campaign. I don't even remember if you played in this one. The boss is Old Saint Nick with 2 Ks because that's extra evil.
Yeah.
And Old Saint Nick was like a giant evil Santa, and on the roof of the castle at Icespire Peak is Old Saint Nick and these 3 giant frost toads. And when the party goes out onto the roof, they try to attack, and they find that they can't hurt him. There is like a wall of high winds and hail blocking him off from taking any attacks.
Yeah. And
so then they attack one of the toads, and then all of a sudden he can be damaged, but he's not taking much damage. He clearly has resistance to the damage. And you kill one of the other toads, and all of a sudden, he's taking full damage now from everything, from all the damage. And then you kill the third toad, and now he takes double damage from fire damage.
Right. Would you, in the case of not picking up on certain things, would you allow just a free action? Just, hey, roll me a intelligence check or an insight check or wisdom check.
Yeah. So
to give them that little bit of extra if they're just not catching stuff.
Yeah, I was a bit long-winded there, but I
No,
guess
it's good.
my answer is make it obvious.
Yeah.
I mean, if they come out onto the rooftop and they're attacking the boss, and I say, "Oh, your spells bounce off this wall of magical, magical energy,
Yeah.
and your arrows are caught in a torrent of hail and wind and snow,"
Right.
they're gonna have to do something else eventually.
Right.
I try to make it so that I don't have to do things like giving them, "Hey, roll this, let me give you a hint,"
Yeah.
type of thing. One of the biggest parts about running puzzles and riddles and mechanics and things like that is that the whole point is to give them the sense of achievement by letting them do it themselves.
Yep.
It can kind of hurt the experience. I can understand some people are just not going to get it, and that's fine.
Yeah, it happens.
But I can always say I would try my very hardest to make it very clear what the answer is. Hey, you're on this rooftop. You can't hurt the boss. There's minor enemies over there. And I make sure to make very clear that something changes when one of the minor enemies dies, right?
Yes.
So when they kill the first frost toad, you notice that the wall of magical wind and hail and snow, it dissipates, and now there's just a cold aura about him. And then when they kill the second toad, the cold aura goes away. I would say make it obvious to avoid it. Now, I'm not against giving hints, but I will sit there for a good little bit before I give you one. I'm gonna make you work for it.
As long as it looks like the players are having fun, and especially like you said, let them work for it. But at the same aspect of thinking, if they're sitting there and they're trying and they're getting super frustrated, definitely time for DMs to step in and give them that little bone. Is also a decent caveat to that as well. But let's jump into the next story. Let's do that.
Yeah. Hey, you're in charge here, boss.
Hey, we got this next story from RPG Horror Stories, posted by Heroic Echo, entitled "What to Do About Targeting." So this might be a good discussion to have, because we'll just get into it. A little short one. What can I do as a player to help my friend, also a player, when the DM is very blatantly targeting my friend's character for playing specific classes or subclasses? So my friend introduced me to this D&D group about a year ago, and I've gotten on with most of the group members pretty well, and we're on our third campaign together, and the DM is taken to trying new things like a rivalry system and running the Eberron system. In this campaign, Session 0, we all created characters as we do, but when my friend chose to play a human bard, he kind of got told off by the DM, who didn't tell him not to, but said he doesn't like running games with bards. To which my friend said something jokingly along the lines of, "Haha, just don't target me." There we go. After a few sessions and a character loss already, we leveled up to the point for my friend to choose a subclass, and he chose College of Glamour, I believe. And this was a session that the DM said he's going to target my friend. A few sessions have gone by, and there have been multiple PCs and DMPCs that have full died, but have had some sort of stupid plot armor bullshit to instantly revive or reanimate them. But when my friend in a dungeon left into a different room to try to avoid a TPK, the DM described something that could only be seen as targeting. So, as he entered the room on his own, the walls started to become thick with moss, and these creatures that came in swarms started to manifest from the walls. When they die, they explode in a petrified mist. But after his... Alright, how did this read? But after his turn, my turn went, and I ran past all the manifesting enemies and was closer to them. The ones that just spawned got to have their turn next, and 3 of them swarmed him. 3 of them stayed to kill NPCs in the room, but the 3 that attacked him had advantage and 2 attacks. Mind you, the ones were encountered before didn't have 2 attacks, and future ones didn't utilize the 2 attacks. And as he was a 4th, trying to. This is written a little odd. Bear with me. And as he was a 4th level bard, of course he goes down and takes 2 auto fails because the 3rd one attacked him again. And then they proceeded to devour his body, so there was nothing left to use for resurrection. Later that session, my own player, which had just under 5,000 my own player's home, which had just under 5,000 platinum inside, Jesus, which I got as a part of the first 5 sessions, was burned to the ground by my rival's mercenaries with nothing we could do as our rivals are level 7 and up. I'm butthurt about the platinum, but also anything we could have used to resurrect my friend was lost in that fire in the cave. Let me know if I'm just looking around through rose glasses, and if I'm not, what should I do? Man, this is, what do you think about this one? I have some ideas.
First off, dog, we gotta fix the run-on sentences, all right?
There's a lot.
This is out of control, man. Commas are great. I love commas. We gotta start using some periods, pal. All
yes.
Right?
Yeah.
We gotta start using periods and capitals, man. Periods and capitals, because that's out of control. But aside from that, there is so much here there's so much wrong here that has nothing to do with the targeting. 5,000 platinum. Player home, great. Having players have their own space, they can decorate and make their own, and bring back loot so they're not over encumbered if you're playing a really long campaign or a really loot heavy campaign. 1 platinum is 10 gold, right?
Yes, it is.
Your players should never have 5,000 platinum. That is, you are either giving out entirely too much gold.
It says, which I got as the first part of the, as the part of the first 5 sessions.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Have 5,000 platinum in 5 sessions?
Yeah. That's what it's reading.
That's really... Yeah, you're either giving out way too much loot and gold, or you're not giving them anything worthwhile to spend gold on. There's not even a whole lot of explanation to put there. Either don't give out so much gold, or give them something worthwhile to spend it on. You can't have players running around with 5,000 gold or 5,000 platinum. What is that? 50,000 gold?
Yeah.
You could buy everything in D&D with 50,000 gold. There is nothing like, and again, it's just like when you have a player lose that gold,
yeah,
that feels bad for the player. And when you have a player just sit on that gold and they feel like there's nothing worth spending it on, that also feels bad. Just don't give out that much gold. There's no reason for that. Rivalry system, great system. It was really, I guess, a little bit popularized by the one Critical Role campaign. What is
Call of the Netherdeep.
Call of the Netherdeep. That's the one. People started running it a lot after Call of the Netherdeep. Great system. Rivalry system is fantastic. It gives not only direction because it says, hey, we have to go clear this dungeon, but it also gives urgency by saying, hey, we have to go clear this dungeon before this other group of adventurers does it.
Yes.
It helps with giving the party purpose and direction and urgency. That's fantastic. Targeting players is not a bad thing, or targeting characters is not a bad thing. Targeting characters for things that are outside of the character's control, not the player, but outside of the character's control, is a bad thing.
Yes.
So if you're targeting the warlock because he just keeps casting darkness and throwing eldritch blasts and blasting everything to hell, that makes sense. Target the guy who's doing the most damage. If you're targeting the warlock because you think that because he's wearing a purple cloak and you think purple is fucking cringe and you just want him out of your party, that's not good. You should, how do they say it? Don't solve out of game problems in game.
Correct.
You know, if you don't
Yes.
want a bard at your table,
100%.
that's fine. I have races that I don't, or races that I don't like running games for. I hate it
Mm.
when people always choose lineages
Yeah.
so that they can get the old feats or the old features plus new features from having
Hmm.
lineages and stuff. I hate that. I hate it when people play artificer in a really cringe way. Um, in a really really dumb way that's less about like a magical engineer and more about like they just want to be D&D Rick Sanchez, you know. um like it's okay to not like certain things at your table.
Yes.
Talk about it. Don't
Yes.
solve it in game.
Yeah, this
That's
does
what
talk
session
about
0 is
session
for.
zero. It does talk
Yeah.
about session zero. And at one point, the character chose to play a human bard, and the DM said that he doesn't like running games with bards. So the DM mentioned, "Oh, I don't like running games with bards," but never told the character or the player not to create the bard.
Yeah.
However, it does seem like targeting that specific bard for that specific reason is definitely a no-go, because they didn't want it. Oh, I don't like playing with bards, so I'm going to kill off your bard so you create something different. That is completely toxic.
Yeah.
Definitely in campaign 0, the DM should definitely have stepped up, or later, like, hey, I know I said I wasn't really a fan and I still let you create it. However, I really don't want to play with bards for whatever reason. They have their own, everyone has their reasons, and let them just re-roll a new character and be like, I'm sorry, I just don't want bards in my game. I just don't like it. And that's a prerogative that they can have, and that's the DM's table. It's also important to have that type of conversation. It's good that I do see they have a session 0, which is phenomenal. Session zeros are one of the biggest sell points to make
Hmm.
a story, a campaign, an adventure, and a game enjoyable for everyone, so everyone understands and feels inclusive or included in it. If it's done properly and it's stuck to the rules of the table, the house rules, the theme, and all the red flags and the hard stop lines, definitely. But I'm it's hard to suss out in this wall of text about how many attacks the swarms had versus attacking him and doing the extra auto fail because they attacked. In my game, I run my monsters as if they have intelligence. When they do have intelligence, they know what they're doing. So recently, I just had in-game, in my Fendelverse Pact game, a character was fighting a bugbear and an orc, and they got downed, and they went unconscious. And the bugbear was like the minion of the orc. So the bugbear got done like laying out this character, put him unconscious, looked at the orc for justification, like, "Hey boss, I did great, right?" And the boss was like, "Good job." And when the character got brought back up, right, got healed, he got back up. I'm like, "Okay, cool, you're back up. Is there anything you want to say or do? I'll give you free action, whatever." He stands back up, he looks at the bugbear, and he says, "Is that all you got?" And I get it. I love it. I love the theatrics of it. However, playing the monsters as they know what they're doing, think of it from the bugbear's perspective, right?
Hmm.
He just hit this creature, downed it, and his orc boss wasn't super like, "Oh, great job" type deal. And then the thing you just thought you killed steps back up. What are you gonna do? You're gonna smash the hell out of it until
Hmm.
it doesn't. You know what I mean? So he takes his
Yeah.
several attacks, and there's some auto crit because of hitting.
Yeah.
And there's a fine line between targeting and playing the monsters as intelligent and they know what they're doing. But
Yeah.
this about they used 2 attacks in the past but didn't use them in the future, but only 2 attacks when they attack this thing. It's kind of like, on one side, you don't know the stat block the DM is using,
Yeah.
right? Or there might be reasons why those swarms were doing what they were doing because they couldn't, because they were doing something else or concentrating on something. You'll never know. You'll never know. But the big takeaway, I think, is if you feel like there is targeting by a DM or by a player towards another player or to a DM or an NPC, or if it's involved whatsoever, bring it up. Have that conversation offline with the DM, or stop the game and say, hey, can we take 5, and then pull someone aside and have that conversation. Communication is the biggest key to, don't get me wrong, I love seeing these stories so we can read them, but I hate seeing these stories because it kind of shows where communication fails.
Yeah.
And that's normally, a lot of the times, that is the solution to a lot of these issues that are brought up, is a communication.
And having players get attacked when they're down is, especially when everybody else is still up, when they're the only person down and the fight is still going, that's really, really not good, in my opinion. There's almost never an excuse for that, for attacking a player that is still down.
Yeah.
Because typically you want to play a monster like that monster would act.
Yes.
If you're playing like a pack of dire wolves, what's
Yep.
a dire wolf going to do? A dire wolf is going to maul you, and they're going to attack you. They're going to try and rip your throat out until you stop resisting.
Yep.
Once you go unconscious, you're going to stop resisting.
Yep.
If you're playing an orc, the orc is just here for food and gold. So the moment you are no longer a threat to him, he's going to turn on his way and either go take care of another threat or go find him some food and gold.
Right.
A dragon is not interested in, stomping on your body until you ascend to the heavens.
Right.
He just wants to defend his pile of gold. So he's going to smoke you one time. And if you go down, you go down, but he's going to leave you there and just make sure you don't leave with any gold. There's almost never a reason why you should be attacking a downed character. But if that's the way you run your games, that's fine. Like they say, there's no right way to play D&D, but there are wrong ways. And the wrong way is any way that hurts the fun that the group is having, and that includes the DM.
Yes. The DM is also a player
too, and they deserve to have fun.
Exactly.
I know I'm a little bit biased. I'm a little bit biased, but the DM is a player too, and they deserve to have fun.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
But the wrong way is going to be, attacking a player after they're down and using a bunch of abilities that you didn't use on the other players on them just to finish them off when they're already beat.
Yep.
Also, hurting the experience is going to be rolling up a character that you noted that your DM doesn't like running, and rolling it up anyway. You kind of asking for it. It's kind of like you ever see those Fourth Amendment auditor people on YouTube? They're not wrong. They do the Fourth Amendment. They walk by the police or they record the police, and the police come talk to them, and then they don't talk to them because they're not suspected of a crime or whatever.
Right.
You're right. You're not wrong, but you're causing a problem where there didn't need to be.
Yes.
And you're doing it on purpose. Just have fun. Hey, I don't like having DMs or having bards in my game. Oh, I understand that. Why not? Can I convince you? I think Hellish Rebuke is a really rough spell to deal with. Whenever I attack a warlock or a tiefling, they hit me with Hellish Rebuke, and I can't deal damage without my monsters dying all the time.
Yeah.
Oh, I understand that. I'll create a warlock or I'll create a bard, but I won't take Hellish Rebuke. And we can talk something out. We can work something out. We can communicate and make sure everybody has fun. But like you said, communication is key.
Yes. I'm probably going to bring that up a few times.
I'm sure. It's like we're relationship counselors in here, dog.
Yeah. That's what we do. All right, what you got? What's your next one?
What have I got?
Yeah.
I've got a good one for you. Here, let me open this up for you. Here, we got a good one. Is it's what my character would do a bad thing?
Hot take.
All right. My character is your basic good-willed ranger who wants to help people and animals in need. I've always tried to stay in character as I can when making decisions to my actions, but I have noticed more than once how my group mates say stuff like, "Here we go again." And I feel so bad because of it. I don't want to force my way. I have asked them out of character if they're okay if I do what I do, and I am 100% okay with it if they say, let's not do that. I feel bad and have apologized several times, telling I just try to play in character, and I have even offered them ways to tell me just no to my character as well, since he is not the type who would not listen to his friends if they see things differently than he does. I try to be a team player, but I also don't wish to lose the moral compass of my character, especially since, more often than not, my teammates would just let baddies do their thing and not get involved unless my character shovels them towards helping the victims. I'm going to stop there. I'm not going to read the update yet. The answer is no. It's what my character would do is not a bad thing.
No.
Unless you use it as an excuse to do a bad thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's as simple as that. It's what my character would do if when we see a village getting burned and raided by orcs, my character is a paladin of Lathander. He's running in there to go help, you know? It's what my character would do does not work when your rogue, which also happened like a week ago and got his character killed, deservedly so, the rogue decides to just attack a politician for no reason in the middle of a conversation. That's not okay. That's what my character, he even has the criminal background. His backstory is all about, he used to be a criminal. He's just not a good guy. You're right. Yeah. And here's why I'll tell you why that's wrong. It's wrong because if that's the character, if that's what the character would do, why would a group of heroes be traveling with this person in the first place?
Yeah.
Now, like if you're playing an evil campaign, that's fine.
Absolutely.
I think you can probably do no wrong. But again, anything that you do, whether you have justification for it or not, if it's deliberately hurting the atmosphere and the fun that everyone else at the table is having so that you can have fun, you're going to be in the wrong basically every time.
Yep. Yeah,
that said, he did do a good job. His group to tell him if they didn't like what he was doing or if he should just not do it, and they told him he was okay, so he kept doing it. So to be fair to him, he did everything that he was supposed to.
Yeah.
Or they did. I don't know if is Chair a unisex name or what?
It can be. Yeah. Okay. I'm sure it is.
Well, Chair Financial 2268. You, my friend, you did everything you were supposed to. You're just fine, buddy. What do you think of that, bud?
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same mindset. It's what my character can do, or it's what my character would do. It has always been connotated with bad things. Like, oh, here we go again. It's gonna fuck around and find out. But we all are doing what our character would do regardless, because we're playing in a imaginary world with imaginary players and characters that we play. That's it. We're always going to do what our character would do. However, implementing those lines and veils of to what extent that happens, like you said, why would an adventuring party travel with someone like that unless the campaign is specifically for that reason? If you guys are in general a lawful or like a good neutral to good party and you're trying to save someone or trying to suss out a crime or save the world at the most high extent, right? Why would you just flat out just randomly attack and kill someone? That's unless it's, like an evil campaign. And why would the players that are around you want to play with someone like that, or the characters would want to travel and adventure with someone like that?
Because it's less about the players and more about the characters.
Yes. That example that you used about attacking a politician with nothing going on, that feels like a very, in my opinion, it feels like the player getting bored and wanted to fuck around.
Mm-hmm.
And consequences ensue. But
and
yeah.
It's not a bad thing.
No,
It's not a
I
sin to
mean,
get bored and want some action, but there's a way to get there.
yes, yes,
Um, if your character would want to start a fight, your character would not um throw a knife at the abbot of a town who is, aside from the burgomaster, the highest ranking, like person in the
yep,
town. He would not throw a knife at the abbot of a town who is currently being guarded by 2 or more flesh golems.
yeah,
He would find a way to get alone with him and, find his way to talk himself into a situation where maybe I can instigate a fight and we can still have a fight, but I'll still be in the right to do it. Because at the end of the day, even people who do evil things think they're right. The bank robber doesn't think he's an evil person for robbing the bank. He thinks, oh, I got to feed my family, right?
right, yeah,
So if you're doing something that's like, this makes no sense, not even from the outside perspective, but even from the inside, you're going to be in the wrong. And there probably is no justification for what you're doing. That said,
what's your thoughts on allowing certain feet locked actions without having the feat? Things like something as simple as like shield bash without the shield master feat. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't allow stuff like that because we are in a time, D&D as a whole, where it's very affected by video game culture.
Yep.
And I'll tell you why that's a bad thing for things like that. It's because when I go log on Destiny, right?
Mm-hmm.
I log on and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna log on Destiny. I'm gonna use this void weapon, and I'm gonna have my void abilities where I get to throw a cool purple shield, and it hits the enemies and bounces around and makes them explode, and it all works together. And I got this exotic armor piece that boosts my void abilities, and we've got this cool build. And this idea of a build has been transferred into D&D, and it makes it so that while the options still existed, it's much more common to see a person playing a build more than they are playing a character.
Yeah.
So you see a lot of people are not playing Fakar the Drow Rogue. They're playing assassin rogue with like a focus on their sneak attack,
I get that.
And so when you have a culture like that around the game, it can be really dangerous and make things really, really strong.
Yep.
When you just give them, hey, you know what? You're a fighter, and I know you don't have Shield Master, but hey, you can do a Shield Bash. But now you have a Polearm Master fighter who maybe has Weapon Master or Great Weapon Master or something. So now he can wield his polearm with one hand, have a shield in the other. He can push people away and do a Shield Bash, and now he's out of control.
Yeah.
So if my opinion, just with where we are in D&D as a culture, I'm gonna say no. That's the whole point of having a trade-off. Hey,
yes.
Do you take a feat or do you take extra?
Yes. My only thought. Yeah, go ahead.
It's a trade-off between, do you take an ability score improvement and make yourself better at what you already do, or do you take a feat and make yourself able to do something new?
Right.
And that's the trade-off, and I think that's the whole point. That's why you can't take both, because it's probably way too strong if you can.
So I completely agree that feats are there for a reason, but little side steer in my thought process. I do enjoy Rule of Cool in certain campaigns where it's decided that Rule of Cool can happen, and flavor is added to it. An example for like Shield Bash, right? Your enemy attacks you, but rolls a nat 1. Obviously, they're not going to hit. And instead of them just ending their turn or like their weapon falls on the ground, have the person with the shield, could be maybe a paladin with a big fucking shield, right? Roll an unarmed strike or just like some damage. And it takes the flavor of the bash and allows them to utilize that without the feat. However, It's not an actual action that they can use for in that type of sense. So the flavor and that type of thing, I think, is a great way to incorporate non-utilized actions in an unconventional way to let them see how it works, so they can use it if they want to pick it up as a feat in the future to be able to do that more often. More on them, good for them. But just to have it shown or seen or add that little bit of extra flavor to make it feel like, man, that's so cool, I really want it now. I like that. I like doing that. But yeah, I completely agree. Feats are feats, and the reason you take a feat is to get the feat. I mean, it just kind of,
I can partially understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Actually, when a person asks me, hey, can I do this? So there is probably, I could be wrong, but there is probably no feat that lets you jump off a balcony and do a backflip and take your dual short swords and slice off a beholder's eye, right?
Yeah. Let's roll for it. Let's see what's up.
Me, hey, can I do it? I'll tell them, all right, look, you can do it. It's going to cost you your action and your bonus action, and you're going to have to roll, and you're still going to have to roll to hit and everything, and you're going to have to roll acrobatics to land on your feet, or else you'll be prone and you'll take fall damage.
Yep.
If they're willing to make that trade-off, I can. But giving someone the ability to do something at will, probably just not, like giving somebody the ability to shield bash just forever. Like if somebody says, hey, this person, the boss, just rolled the nat one, can I bash him with my shield and push him back? Say, hey, look, it's going to cost you your action and your bonus action, and you still are going to have to make a strength check against them. All right, hey, if they agree, let's do it. We'll do it, and that'll be like a one-time thing.
Yeah.
But giving people feats without taking the feats, probably going to be a no in my book.
Yeah, same thought process. We'll roll for it, but the DC will be kind of,
Yeah, what does Matt Mercer always say? He says, you may certainly try.
Certainly try.
Mm-hmm. Let's hear two from you, man, because you got more than me. You got better ones.
Ooh, I don't know about better ones, but here we go. All right, so this one's from the D&D subreddit or the r/RPG Horror Stories, submitted by Rich Independent 57. My IRL close friend is being real ick playing D&D. So this may be a little bit of SA warning. We in no way condone any of the actions we're discussing. We're just bringing up what is being posted, and we're having discussions about them to bring them to light. That being said, I posted
unpopular opinion here. Sexual assault bad.
Yes. I agree.
Yeah, I know. Hot take, guys.
Hot take. Yeah. Let's see. Hello. Starting off good. Since maybe this post will be just a rant, but any advice would be highly appreciated. I'm fairly new to D&D and DMing in general. I have been DMing 2 sessions face to face and play a few games myself on Roll20 with other strangers. Honestly, hats off to you for jumping in that DM ring. Not that many of us. And welcome.
Not anymore.
Let's see if we can help you. Last week, I ran a one-shot adventure with 3 PCs, which were all close friends, 1 male and 2 female, which everything went well in the first place. PHB, element only with homebrew one-shot quest. Super simple for a nice little one-shot, just to get people's feet wet. Except that male player, I will call him Bob for now, he plays a barbarian half-orc. He refused to give me any backstory, motivations, goals of his character, and said it was secret even for the DM. So I just ignored his backstory and focused on the other 2 PCs instead. So let me stop it there. What is your thoughts on backstories, motivations, goals of a character specifically for a one-shot?
For one-shots, I don't have players write backstories. I typically just ignore the whole description tab on a character sheet for one-shots.
Yeah.
Unless this one-shot is a part of another campaign that I'm running.
Yes.
So like I'm gonna start from now on when I run Curse of Strahd, I will use the Death House,
Mhm.
which is typically 2 to 3 sessions long. It's only like 2 or 3 combat encounters. It's going to be like one of those horror movie cutaways where you have this group that you see at the beginning of the movie that's like, oh, these are the characters, and we're getting to know these characters. And then 5 minutes in, they all fucking die, and we meet the real characters, right?
Yes.
So I'm going to start doing that where, like, hey, you get to the end of the Death House, and then these characters die, and we meet your actual characters. And it's going to help build the atmosphere a bit.
Yeah.
That first group of characters, I'm not asking for backstories from them. I don't care who they are. They are a plot device, and the players know that. And I feel that it should probably be that way for a one shot. Ideally, I mean, yeah, it'd be great if you could have a DM incorporate everybody's backstory into a one shot, but it's worth a lot more. It's not worth the work that it takes to do that.
Yeah.
Especially considering the fact that I've looked through r/D&D. Y'all are some stingy motherfuckers. Y'all don't want to pay y'all's DMs to do your fucking campaigns. You're asking them to do a lot of work to put backstories into a one shot. That's a lot of work for the way that y'all don't be wanting to pay nobody for shit.
My thoughts on it is absolutely one shots, backstories. I don't ask any of my players for really any of that unless it is themed specifically. I just did a Halloween one shot, right? And I said, I really don't need a backstory. However, I just need a couple things like your characters, what are a few fears that your characters has, or what is their like in their life. Give me like a goal they want in their life or something like that. And that's specifically motivated towards or pinpointed at a specific event that happens during the one shot that calls back to it. But anything else like jumping into a one shot and describing your character and then trying to like, well, I'm from this city. This is my family. I'm really here to do this and I'm trying to get this out of it and all that. It's a one shot. It's a fun time to play a new character that you never played before. Good on you for creating backstories. Use that character for a campaign. But one shots are so short lived. There is not enough time to incorporate what you want in a one shot if you are looking for a backstory motivated adventure. So I never really ask for that stuff unless it is specific to the one shot. Or if it's a new player and they're having trouble with like their character, I'll be like, all right, what's a little bit about your character that you want? Like, just talk them through a little bit of backstory or a little bit of like character details, characteristics to help them suss out how they want to act during the one shot. But it'll most likely never be used. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I don't even want it to be limited to one shots.
Yeah.
Incorporating backgrounds and things like that into a campaign is very difficult.
It is. It is.
As a DM. And that is speaking as someone who, for now, I know going into next summer, I'm trying to write my own homebrew third act. I've talked to you about this. I'm trying to write my own homebrew adventure that takes place directly after Dragon of Icespire Peak.
Yeah.
And up until this point, I've only ever ran straight from the book. I've edited encounters and edited stat blocks and stuff.
Yeah.
But I've, for the most part, run straight out of the book. It is very, very difficult to squeeze in someone's random backstory into a world that is already so full. And most of the D&D books most of the 5e books are very full. And so that can be very difficult, especially when you consider I've still got to do maps, I've still got to do music, I've still got to do NPCs. I'm trying to fucking practice my voice acting for an hour a day because I don't want to sound shitty when I do these NPCs.
Right.
You know, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work on your DM. If you want your DM to incorporate your backstory, you need to come to them with a plan on how you want it done. Maybe not all the juicy little details. Hey, I'll leave this up to you. Who's the culprit that killed my parents? That's up to you.
Yep.
But how you want to take the first few steps there needs to be done by you, not your DM. That is a very
Yes.
difficult thing to do for someone who already has a lot on their hands when they're working a campaign.
Agreed. All right. Actually, Bob, that we referred to the male player as Bob,
Indeed.
was here we go, was really into Baldur's Gate 3. And I thought he would enjoy D&D and act like a mature, normal person. Turned out, what he did in the sessions were 1. Trying to keep loot for himself and not share to the other party members. Trying to use force to steal gold from other party members. Teasing about that he would kill other party members, though he didn't try to ask me. And trying to grape female NPCs, despite we have 2 females in the group. So let's stop again there. What are your thoughts on those few ticket items? Very Baldur's Gate 3.
I feel like I can say this. You know how black people are allowed to say the N-word?
Yeah.
I feel like I can say this because I'm a gamer. Gamers are fucking cringe, dog. Like, oh my god. Oh my god. And this sounds exactly the way like some of these weirdos play Skyrim, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And as soon as I heard you say he's a big Baldur's Gate 3 fan, I'm like, yeah, we're in trouble.
Here it comes. Yeah.
Because, oh man, steal it. It's a group thing. You don't steal from the party. Don't. As a DM, I'm just not even letting it happen. I'm picking loot specifically for certain people.
Yep.
So if we have a barbarian who wields dual hand axes, I'm giving the like I'm putting 2 magical hand axes in there. So it's very obvious this is for them.
Right. Right.
And then I'm gonna make it so that certain people can't attune to items or things like that. Like I'm not gonna let you steal from another player. I'm not gonna allow it. The other thing,
yeah.
I mean, there's just, again, I feel like maybe we're getting controversial here. Today is a D&D stream. I didn't plan to get political today, but hey, look, I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. Rape, bad. Boo, rape. Rape is bad.
Yeah.
Don't do it. Not even in a video game. Oh man, I just like.
Yeah, there's definitely. It does say that it was a new DM jumping in, so maybe they don't. Excuse me. They don't want to step into players' actions, or they don't know about a session 0 to say if you need to say it, no rape. You shouldn't have to. Yeah. But this person seems like they may have. And also a lot of other actions that seem against me as a DM, or like he's trying to test my game or rules knowledge. Simply put, that I feel like he doesn't even trust me as a DM. He might feel like I'm cheating somehow or misinterpreting the rules, though I always keep rules cool and let the game go on. I have talked to him about the rape issue, that I won't let him attempt that anymore in the game. Good on ya. Absolutely. And what he replied truly surprised me, because he said, I can make it worse. Sometimes it's the point that I think he is having mental issues or something that needs to be treated, or maybe the whole point is just to annoy me. What I want to say is he's a close friend, and we were together for 10 years since college. He's sometimes annoying, but still a good friend and always a helping hand, though I didn't expect him to be such a dick in D&D. Maybe he didn't want to play in the first place. Maybe he get the sense of video games that every characters are a bunch of codes and feels free to do whatever. Maybe I should just not play the game IRL friends at all and find strangers. Anyway, I expect the next few weeks we'll be having another session but I think I'm gonna just not invite him to the game. Yes, I'm not a native English speaker, so please apologize my typos and confused sentences. Well, I would not ask them back.
Nope,
Once you tell them, hey, I'm not going to allow you to do this anymore. This is not something that's okay in game or out of game ever. And if it happens again, you're not in it. And they respond to you, all right, so you, Jungle, you tell me this. You say, hey, what you did, not fucking cool, man. And I say, I can make it worse. What the fuck do you do?
Hey, bro. Look, I'm gonna pull my Discord over here because I'm gonna go to your name. I'm gonna click on it right there. I'm gonna click on it. I'm gonna click there again.
Blocked.
And I'm gonna hit that button in record time. Record time, man.
Yeah.
It's gonna be incredibly fast. You'll be amazed.
Man, this getting the sense that the video game cop out of they play video game and they think everything's code and they can do whatever they want. Yeah, dude, if you play your video games like this in the privacy of your own home, I don't agree with it. But you do you, man. You do whatever the fuck you... However, in the company of other people, you may have something in your head that you need to fucking have stay in your head. Right? Your thoughts are your own. I cannot control that. However, what comes out of your mouth and your actions that you... and the way you conduct yourself in front of people and around people, especially of the opposite gender, in this instance, stay the fuck away from it. It doesn't belong. If we are coming together to have fun and enjoy a game of fantasy make-believe, I don't want my make-believe to mirror real-life situations that could, 1, trigger someone, 2, make anyone uncomfortable, and 3, go against just common decency. Not in my fucking world.
Yes, and I feel like maybe this is a thing of you trying to be polite as you can, but
a new DM.
I feel like it's not even as simple or as benign as making someone uncomfortable.
Yes.
Matt, let's get philosophical here. The reason why bad things are bad is typically because, at least in the American view, is that they remove agency from a person. They remove a person's ability to choose for themselves. So if you rape, you murder, you steal, you take away someone's agency in some way. That's typically what your bad things are in a Western society. The reason we don't care when you do those things in a video game is because no one's agency is being taken away. You can do whatever you want to that Skyrim NPC. You can, burn down the orphanage of Whiterun if you want to, and nobody cares. Because it's just, again, like no one's rights are being aggressed upon. When you carry that over into D&D, you're right back to being a shitty person because you're taking away the agency of another person again.
Yes.
It's of course not as bad as the real thing, but it definitely is still pretty bad.
Yes. Man, and it sucks. Well, definitely Monday morning quarterbacking, but it sucks when you're in new DM and you're just getting into like, man, I got this group of people I'm gonna play with. I want to make everyone happy, and then someone does something like this. You're like, well, maybe they'll learn. I don't want to get rid of them because maybe they'll play differently or whatnot. But just they did well that saying that they're probably not going to ask them back to the game, which is a good decision. But yeah, go ahead.
When I first started DMing, this was like 9 years ago. But when I first started doing it professionally, for a paid group, when I started taking people's money to do it, my very first run was a Christmas-themed 2 or 3 shot, right?
Yeah.
And it ended with the same old Saint Nick boss fight that I still run today. But the very first session was the week before Christmas. And we decided we were going to start the week after Christmas. and we weren't going to play on Christmas so that everybody could go be with their families. And before signing off, I typed into chat and I said, "Hey, Merry Christmas, everybody. See you later. Have a great holiday. Enjoy your time with your families. See you soon." And one of my characters, who was very clearly going through his angry 13-year-old Reddit atheist phase, was so affronted upon by my assumption, apparently, that everyone believed in Jewish sky daddy with a beard and a sword, that I would be so galling as to say Merry Christmas. And he made very clear that Christianity is fake and it's a cult and it's not real. And me as a Christian, that hurt my feelings, but I don't typically care. I mean, my faith is between me and God. I don't care what you think about it. That's fine.
Yep.
My problem was that other people at the table, they weren't even Christian. I was the only Christian in the group. But they were made very uncomfortable by the fact that someone in the group was going so far out of their way to be antagonistic.
Yep.
When they could have just said happy holidays back and kept it pushing.
Yes.
And so I was very scared. I didn't know what to do. I was like, do I kick him out? Do I leave him in? I don't want to make people upset. I don't want to upset him. I don't want to do this and that. And as I've gotten older, I've realized that I made the right decision. I booted him the fuck up out of there, and I never heard from him again.
Good. Yep.
But I've realized over time that when I do something wrong, and I look back on it days, weeks, months, years later, and I go, wow, I was really fucked up in that situation, man. I will very often go and look for a way to make it right. I will very often, go back to the person, hey, look, man, I screwed up, man. I apologize. Or maybe because I played semi-pro for a couple years, and I had a couple of different trainers and coaches that I was working with at the time that we didn't leave things on great terms because maybe I didn't like the way they were coaching certain things, or I didn't like the way they did certain things. I would come back and I'd say, hey, let's give it another shot. I apologize. I was disrespectful. Let's make it right. We can settle these differences. A person who is looking back and seeing that they did wrong,
right,
and acknowledging that, if you kick them out and they think about that later on in life, they'll go, yeah, I deserve that.
I do want to bring up something.
Yeah.
Got a dubstepper wants to know, what's your take? What's your take on firearms, and if they're taboo amongst most DMs, and he gives an example. He gave his artificer a rifle with a magazine of 6. He can shoot 1 shot per round of combat, but at the end of those 6, he needs 1 minute to reload. Standard musket dice for hit and damage. But he's just curious what your thoughts on firearms are.
I think between the loading property and everything else with firearms, I think the firearms are balanced pretty all right. My problem with firearms is not the balance. I don't think they're like way too strong or anything. I think they are just not very thematic for the Forgotten Realms, or for the Forgotten Realms, specifically the whole area of the Sword Coast.
Yeah,
it's
favorite.
Just not it doesn't match the theme very well. It's out of theme. It's just like, I don't like it. I typically, I enforce the loading property. So you have to load it, and you have to have a hand free to load it. So if you want to use a firearm, you can only use a firearm. You can't use a shield or an offhand weapon.
Right.
I don't even think they're that much. In fact, I'm pretty sure I can, if I could do the math, I could probably say firearms are numbers-wise weaker than, they're the weakest weapons, probably.
We have, in our Candlekeep game, we have a character that is a gunslinger. and they do the most damage in the entire party.
Well,
In
but
one
that's because they're a
round,
gunslinger fighter.
yes,
They have to build their whole character around
yes,
the gun in order to make it
yes,
viable.
yes,
Hmm.
yes. 100 points of damage
Yeah,
in a round.
yeah,
Um, it's nuts. But I completely agree. Thematically, it needs to fit. You wouldn't have a plasmoid
yeah,
just sitting on the Sword Coast trading with um, the half orcs and the halflings and stuff. However, unless that is your world and you build it in and say, hey, this is
yeah.
now part of our world and they're going to be incorporated, that's 100% okay. Um, it just needs to fit. That's my thought process. And even to the extent of artificers, I would say creating those weapons and doing things like that, definitely there is a line that can be crossed
Yeah.
if you are questioning it and you are thinking of it, that it shouldn't be in your game but will allow it, or it's supposed to be there and you know the damage output is going to be high, or what have you. Everything just kind of needs to fit and the conversations need to be had. You're going to get this weapon. What are your plans in the future for this weapon?
Yeah. I think my biggest problem with it is that nobody can be like the way they did what's his name? Percival from
Yes.
yeah, Vox Machina.
Yes.
They did him very well. It was very thematic. It was a thing that he created. It didn't always work, but when it did, it could be very powerful, and it was like this it was just a new thing that he made.
Right. Right.
Um but my problem is the same problem I have with Artificer is that typically people don't play an, a gunslinger fighter or a battlesmith artificer as, you know, this person who like they're a seasoned fighter and they wanted, you know, a better way to take out increasingly more powerful foes. So they created this thing and they don't, you know, it's kind of difficult to use, but it allows you to destroy an enemy very easily with very little effort. Um, and it's like a thing where they're trying to improve it over time and they use their battlesmith infusions to make it better over time. No, typically people play their artificer or their firearm user as, hey, it's D&D, there's orcs and elves and bows and swords and I've got a fucking gun, you know. And it's kind of cringe and it typically misses the theme.
Yep.
um
Yep. Having that
it's just,
conversation, obviously, like,
yeah,
hey, it is a gun. You might think this is the way, but we'll have this conversation, talk about it. But places like Eberron or a
mhm,
steampunk vibe, completely viable and
yeah,
amazing, especially flavored steampunk,
mhm.
is super cool thematically, and I love it. It
Where
just
maybe
has to
there's no
match.
trigger on it. Instead of pulling a trigger, maybe there's just a cap that you stuff gunpowder into whenever you load it. And instead of pulling the trigger to fire it, you just hold up a match to it and it boom and it bangs
Yep.
off like a flintlock.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
really thematic and cool. Um, when placed into the right setting,
Yeah.
you know, like having a firearm user in your Spelljammer campaign, kind of cringe. You know, it kind of it just feels like it misses the point sometimes. You know.
Yeah. Unless you re-flavor the weapon and you go homebrewish and you flavor it
Which
to
is something
be
I
some
avoid
kind
anyway.
of plasma
Yeah,
pistol or something like that. I don't know.
yeah, and we've talked about how I feel about homebrew in the first place.
Yeah.
And the way I feel about homebrew is that, and this is talking to D&D players as a whole, because I've been on D&D Beyond. I've seen the homebrew you people come up with. I'm so glad you people don't work at fucking Wizards of the Coast, because most of y'all's homebrew is fucking terrible. But anytime that you feel the need to homebrew something, um, there is typically, I won't say always, but there's typically something in D&D that already matches that thing. You just want to have your cake and eat it too. And that's fine. that's fine. Hey, look,
Justifiable.
Yeah, that's justifiable. If you want to have your cake and eat it too, and your DM is okay with that, hey, go nuts, man. Have fun with your gun. You can do Space Rick and Morty, and it'll be awesome. But I can't rock with it. Theme is something that, like, I already struggle enough taking myself seriously when I'm doing voices and doing monologues and things like that. And whenever I'm sure you remember in Curse of Strahd, I think there was one time I was doing one of Strahd's monologues, and like right at the climax of the speech, the music I had playing in the background swelled at the same time, and it was like perfect.
Yeah.
It's so hard to get moments like that to happen that it's like I don't need the extra roadblock of the person who inevitably is gonna go, yeah, in the middle of his speech, I'm gonna shoot him in the face. You know?
I do have a rule that I talk about during my session zeros, is that when someone is speaking or a villain is monologuing, shut the fuck up and listen.
Yeah.
Because I am quiet while you have your discussions with other players and NPCs, and you have your speeches. Let me have my speech, and then we'll talk about it after.
Yeah, man. I've been trying to steal this Commanders of Olive voice from Lance Reddick for a fucking year and a half now. You're gonna let me give my monologue, right? You know,
no shit. All right. What else we got?
You got another one, man. You had more submissions than me, so go ahead and pick another one. Then
I think I'm gonna drop one off. Let's see.
Send me the link too. I want to read along. Me and my chat want to read along.
Let me.
Otaku, how are we doing? Good to see you in chat tonight. Since we've hit a bit of an intermission, happy to announce that me and Aftermath Sports are teaming up, and I've just signed on with them as a brand athlete. So go over to aftermathsportsusa.com for all your football and sporting apparel needs, and use code Liggins. That's my name, Liggans, Lima, India, Golf, Alpha, November, Sierra. Code Liggins for 10% off your order on all of your sporting good needs. They got some cool stuff over there. I'm glad to be working with them. And they're going to be a pretty permanent sponsor we've got on the channel, because I'm back into college athletics, so I'm getting more serious on that side of my life. So they're going to be a permanent sponsor, and we've got some cool some cool one-time and limited time sponsors coming down the pipe. So keep an eye out for that. I've always got good stuff for you. If you play video games, I've got a hint for you. If you play any games that rhyme with schmade, schmatto, schmedgens, I've got some free stuff coming down the pipe for you guys. So keep in touch, stay around, because anytime I get a sponsor from them, y'all get some cool free stuff over there. So
I'm gonna throw this into I can't find where there's no chat. I can't send you anything in the chat.
What you mean?
It's not letting me. There's no chat for this call. Let me try.
Yeah, don't use the call chat. Just open up our direct message.
I am. It says you popped out the player in another window.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you have to close the pop out in order to do it.
I can't close the pop out. I'm gonna throw it in.
Yeah, throw it in Twitch chat and I'll grab it.
Yeah.
Your chat, my chat, I don't care.
I'll just throw it in your. Oh, I can't
throw it in Twitch chat and I'll grab it.
All right. Yeah.
And I'm looking at your Twitch chat, and that overlay is fucking hot. I love it.
Thank you.
Did you make that yourself?
I used Canva.
Oh man, that's how I made mine too.
Yeah, this one was super easy.
Nothing wrong with that.
If you want to read along,
good to see you in the chat. Twisted Fate, everybody. Dubstepper.
Absolutely.
Jesus, man. Hey man, you poaching all my old D&D parties for your chat, huh?
These guys stick around. They good. They good
Those
peeps.
guys are great. Those guys are fantastic. It's good to see them in the chat. Good to see y'all hanging out. All right, read on, boss. Let's
Here
do
we
it.
go. All right, posted over on r/RPG Horror Stories by Fully Automated Nerd. Hello, Fully Automated Nerd. It's a little long one, a little bit of a, not really that long. Accidentally bullied one of our PCs out of the group. Names change, protect the guilty and all that. Yes, this is a brand new account because I don't want to make anyone involved feel worse about what went down. We met up through an online fan group. Someone mentioned wanting to get a group together and run a game in that setting. So planning and chats happen. Everything sounds good, and we meet at our FLGS, our local game shop, to have a session 0.
Yep.
Yes. Everything feels good. There seems to be a few different styles of play, but we're all excited about it, and the DM seems cool. Good start. Great start. A few weeks in, and everyone is happy, and the DM is hitting a stride, getting everyone a chance to have fun and engage in RP and combat and make sure we all have a chance to shine. Things are good, but one player, we'll call him Jerry, is notably less interested in RP and more into combat maximization. Fine, he's having fun and it makes fights tough since the rest of us aren't really focused on that aspect. We moved to online because of COVID. One player drops because he doesn't like online play. Jerry brings in a friend who is a good fit, playing both RP and mechanics well. Everything is cool, and slowly we get things complete on the first big story arc. Great. The party splits up to do some personal quests, essentially a few games of side quests where each PC focuses on something related to their backstory, and the rest of us treat it like a one-shot with new PCs. This is a cool way to wrap up a bunch of stuff for our personal stories, and then it's us, and lets us get back together with new vigor and play out the next arc. I do like that idea. If people kind of have to break off a little bit, allowing separate sessions, individual sessions to work on backstories. That's like, you finish a story arc, okay, now do a few things, and then be called back together, and you still get to focus and see some of your backstory come to fruition. You come back and you have more things to talk about. You level up a little bit and all that stuff. I like that. What's your thoughts on that?
That is not a bad idea. I typically have trouble with that because scheduling is the hardest part of playing D&D. So scheduling 5 people to run different sessions all in 1 week before they come back for next week's session, I can imagine that might be a logistical nightmare. But it's not a bad idea narratively. In fact, it's a very good one.
Right.
Having the players wrap up their own stories. Maybe throughout you've sprinkled in little bits and pieces of each player's backstory. And maybe, hey, this dwarf player, he's going to go back to that dwarven temple that we visited a couple sessions ago. He's going to go do some soul searching there. And maybe the village that's a couple miles down the road, maybe that's where one of maybe that's where the human fighter came from, and he heard that there's an orc war band closing in on that town, so he's gonna go alone and go help defend that village.
Right. Yeah.
That is not a terrible idea at all. I like that.
To incorporate future NPCs and motivations for the next arc.
And yeah, it also helps with that, helping each character be their own character. And then they get to come back and bring a more complete person to the party.
Yes.
That's not a bad idea at all.
I love fleshed out characters.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go. All right, so we've also now hit level 8. The group gets back together. We have a few scenes with the party meeting back up for a few months, or after a few months. Everyone is happy and cool. That's when Jerry drops a bomb. His PC is leaving to go be a teacher. Not the player, his PC. Because he wasn't able to before, but his personal quest resolved that conflict somehow. I don't actually see how that happened, but whatever. We all express concern, and the DM has to call for a break since he had no idea this was coming. not discussing things like that with the DM is a no-go. If you decide you're going to retire a character, talk with your DM.
Yeah, I need to know about that. Because one of the only things I do change about a campaign is every combat encounter.
Yeah.
If I see a combat encounter coming in the book and I say, oh, this person is going to stomp this encounter, this is not going to be fun for anybody, I'm going to change it up and make it so, hey, it's going to be a little more interesting. This person is still going to be a little stronger than everybody else. They're going to have their moment in the sun, but it's still going to be a full fleshed out encounter for everybody.
Right.
If you are going to play a new character, I need to know what class they're going to be, what feats they're taking, things like that, because it's going to be really awkward when you get to the first session and you blast everything into oblivion, or you get to the first session and you get blasted into oblivion because I had an encounter. Maybe you were playing a really min-maxed character, and then you retired that character, and I have to run you through a combat encounter 15 minutes later, and this character is more based on role play or something, and then they just get absolutely eviscerated. That's not fun for anybody.
No.
The DM needs to know everything. It is okay to keep secrets from the party. You cannot keep secrets from the DM. It's not allowed. It's against the rules. Stop it. Bad.
Yes. Totally agree. So we get back after a short break and Jerry's PC is gone, and we all just shrug and get on with our next story arc. We're joined by Jerry's new PC, who is essentially the exact same build as the old PC, but with a different class in order to maximize damage output, who was sent by his god as a replacement for the old PC, because something. All the people really into RP are upset by this, and the DM is not happy at all, having all this sprung on him without warning or discussion. Session ends, we all chat afterwards as normal, everything is fine. Over the following week, we share session wrap-ups from our PC's perspectives. 4 of the 6 players are all explicitly upset that their friend left, and that they don't really trust this new guy, but we make clear it's RP, not players that are angry, even if we are a little annoyed by the situation. Jerry blows up at us, saying we're being passive-aggressive at him for being done with his character arc and retiring his PC. He then leaves the Discord server and blocks all of us. His friend does the same. We're all left stunned because we thought we had a good group vibe and Jerry would be cool about the direction we were playing our characters in. Having a little in-party friction had literally never been an issue before, and Jerry had always been one of the people who enjoyed that. Anyway, it's a couple years later and we're still playing with a couple new players and working through an epic arc to lock away ancient evils and save the peasants from an undead plague. Well, yeah, thank you so much, fully automated nerd. Man, that's a rough one to try to, like, it's so hard to gauge, like, especially like in the world we're in, like texting, you can't catch people's motivations over a text. You know what I mean? You can't see facial expressions, nothing like that. So it's hard to suss out player versus character feelings unless you are explicitly told. And that's rough. What do you think about that?
This is a weird one.
It is.
Again, don't hide stuff from your DM. Hiding it from the PCs, fine. Don't hide stuff from your DM. If you're gonna replace a character, come up with a better reason. Sent by his god as a replacement is not a good reason. You gotta do better than that, buddy.
I agree.
And you might have had an opportunity to come up with something better than that if you had cleared it with your DM first. So again, I am all about the communication, man. The communication. Hey, look, I'm not angry at you. My character is angry at your character. That is fine. I love it. That's the type of shit that makes a DM get hard. We love in-party communication. And hey, look, in-party conflict, that really does it.
Gold.
I love it. I remember a session when you and another player who was playing a rogue had a
Yeah.
disagreement on whether or not you were going to kill or spare a person who had done something pretty objectively evil.
Yeah.
Um, and it damn near came to blows between the characters.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
that's great stuff. The problem is, if you can't handle party friction, don't do stuff that's gonna cause friction. I
Yes.
mean, it seems simple. I mean, I don't.
Yeah. I
It,
mean,
I
even them
feel
saying
this
that,
is
like, they
so.
made it clear that it was RP
Yeah,
and it was the characters and not the players,
yeah.
is a pretty straightforward answer
Hmm.
uh, to finding out what motivations are. I mean, obviously, I, as a player, would be kind of ticked off or upset if this happened to me, like, in game, but obviously, my player is going to react to that and be like, oh man, that's bullshit. We were all getting back together. I don't trust this new guy. I wouldn't trust a new guy who just essentially sent from the heavens
Yeah.
for whatever reason. Really? Who are you? We're in our second story arc. We're level 8. Okay. Gods are sending you to do work. Okay. I don't know you. I don't trust you. That leaves a great opportunity for role play within the party for them to have that discussion and be like, okay, well, let me show you why you can trust me. And go on a quest together and show the party that you have their back. And it's a great way to actually make the characters trust you. The players are already going to trust you because that's the agreement you have when you sit down to play a collaborative storytelling game, right? You sit down and you play together with the understanding of everyone at the table is here to play a game together regardless of what happens in game, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to accept your new PC as a player because you're at the table and I know you want to play and I want to play with you. However,
Yeah.
how my character receives that character is debatable, and
Yeah.
we'll figure it out together and we'll deal with it. Yeah.
This seems almost so clear and clean and one-sided that I feel as though something has been left out.
Yeah. Yeah, there might have been a
I
few things
feel as
left
though
out.
either something has been left out or they've added something in, like the fact that they were clear about they didn't dislike his character, but that their characters did. I
Yeah.
feel like we're not getting the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth here. Because there's no, like, me, if I'm in this situation, I'm not looking to Reddit to ask if I'm in the right. I know I'm in the right if this situation happens this way, you know? So I don't know. I'm not gonna say anybody's lying, but if it happened like this, Jerry is so clearly the that guy or the bad guy in this situation that it's like it's kind of silly, you know?
Yeah. And even with the DM coming back and doesn't and outwardly looks upset or irritated that this is happening, the DM has that ability to be like, hey man, that's not a thing. You didn't bring that shit up. Let's figure a way out together. But for now, play your current character and we'll get
Mhm.
offline and we'll figure out a new one together. Because I don't want to, that's the worst thing as a DM. Like, you put all this stuff together with your players and with their characters and the backstories and all this stuff. And then, like, oh, they're just gone and I'm going to bring someone in. Just that, like, sent by the god as a replacement. As a DM, having to explain that to the players makes you feel like an absolute ass. It makes it would make me feel like I'm not doing anyone justice and I didn't do any kind of preparation or I didn't do my job to make the game feel not like that. It's a shitty
It
thing. But
reminds me of a situation when I was my first year coaching college football. I was at Presentation College and I was the running backs coach. I was an assistant, youngest guy in the room. I had like absolutely no authority. I was just doing what I was told, right? And I got to run because of the way our offense was run.
mm-hmm.
The offensive coordinator wanted to have the running backs in the coaching room with the quarterbacks so that he could coach them directly. That's fine. I'm a young coach. I probably wouldn't trust me with coaching the running backs on my own either in my first year of coaching. That's understandable. And so I got one film session with them during part of the season because he was busy or something. I got one film session with them on my own. And I'm telling them, hey, this is how we need to do this thing. In this situation, we need to play this technique, not this other one, because there's a reason we do this thing, right? And I'm entirely in the right here, right?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, we get out on the practice field the next day, and one of my players does it the way I told him to do it, and gets yelled at. Hey, why did you do it that way? We're doing it this way this week. We're doing it differently this week. And now I look like an ass.
Yeah.
Because it's like, why would you not bring me into the loop on this? I can do things the way you want them done if you just let me know. You know, and it's the same feeling of like, hey, dude, you're the player. I'm here to help you have fun, but I can't do shit for you if you're keeping secrets from me and stuff, you know?
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Communication seems to be the theme.
Oh my God, man. I'm like Dr. Phil in here.
Jesus. All right. What do you got? What do you got?
I got another one for you, man.
Yeah.
I think I got two more, and you might have two more.
Yep.
All right. This one's less a D&D horror story. This one's more just a discussion, a question, something a little bit controversial.
Oh.
As a player, not as a DM. We'll get to that after.
Let me take that off.
As a player, how would you like to interact with an impossible check? So obviously you don't know the check is impossible. What is going to be the best way that a DM can run this for you as a player?
Okay.
No roll and auto fail. Roll a check even if the failure is guaranteed. Or you can only succeed on a nat 20.
No in between.
Nope. Your choices are no roll, auto fail, roll a check, even if the failure is guaranteed, or you can only succeed on a nat 20. What's the best way as a player that you can interact with this?
That I would want to attempt it?
Mm-hmm.
So if I roll it and I get a nat 20, I succeed. Right?
Mm-hmm.
If I roll it and I get a 15, I don't succeed. If I get a 2, I don't succeed. Or is it anything under a natural 20 is an automatic failure?
Yeah.
So here's my take on this. Oh man, I can't. The DM hat. Let's go back to the player hat. Why have me roll if I'm not going to succeed?
Exactly. And I feel like that's the easy answer.
That's the easy answer.
That's the
DM hat, though.
Understand arguments for all of these. So, like, your first one's going to be no roll automatically failed. That's the easy one. Hey, if this is impossible to do, don't even let them roll for it. It's just going to be frustrating when they roll a 19 plus 8 for a 27 and still fail.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, that's going to be ultra frustrating. Then you've got roll a check, even if guaranteed failure. Again, if I, as a player, get told to roll a check and roll a nat 20 and I get told I fail, I'm killing myself right there at the table. I just, that is a terrible feeling. Why would you let someone roll if there is no possible way they can
Yeah.
succeed?
Yeah.
And then the other one, hey, nat 20 DMs can allow success on a case-by-case basis. Look, if you roll a lot, I see a lot of this in like Dimension 20 and in Critical Role. It's like, hey, if you get a nat 20, you can do it. It's cool. It's cinematic. It's climactic. It's futile. 19 times out of 20, you're not getting that nat 20. No. And all 19 of those times are gonna feel worse then the one nat 20 is gonna feel good.
Yes. Yes.
What about you?
Yeah, I'm a big proponent of like, I'm gonna make you roll if you have a chance. If you don't have a chance, I'm gonna outwardly say you do not have a chance. If you want to do something super crazy, like take your 2 daggers as a rogue, jump off backwards off a balcony, and cut the eyes off a beholder, you can certainly try. I'm not gonna say, well, if you roll a nat 20, you'll definitely succeed. That might be the outcome. However, DC, difficulty class, like, right? I set a DC as a DM.
Yep.
The more you want to do, the higher the DC is going to be.
So what's the number for impossible to you?
Impossible?
Yeah.
I will, if I had to, I don't want to attach a number to an impossible. It will be, it's impossible. It's not going to happen. Sorry. Impossibility with a chance will end up being like 1 or 2 under their max possible roll.
Yeah.
It will be a DC based upon like an 18, 19, or 20 roll added with their modifier, roughly. So that's probably like a 25 ish.
My understanding of 5e is that 30 is impossible, 20 is hard, 10
Oh yeah,
is
absolutely.
easy, you know, and it's like,
yes,
it's like if
you have to attach numbers to it, yes. However, if there is no possible way, including guidance, including emboldening bond, including your modifiers, plus a natural 20, if you cannot reach the number, either if you want it to happen, lower the DC, or flat out say, nah, fam, sorry, this ain't gonna happen. And there's gotta be a reason for that. But if someone wants to do something like rule of cool style, I'm not gonna make the check impossible. I'm gonna make it pretty high, and then base everything that happens upon that roll. If you want to do that, cut off the eyes of the beholder, right? And you're jumping off, and the DC is pretty high, but you roll like an 11. That's still okay. Still okay. Mm-hmm. You may cut off like or slice off a chunk of like their body or something, and it looks super cool when you do it. You just miss what you were aiming for. It's just the level of completion that gets done.
So you use tiers of success then?
Yes.
Okay, so maybe if you don't meet the requirement, meet the DC, you don't outright fail, but maybe you just succeed less.
Yes. Now,
that makes sense.
Natural ones are mostly auto fails.
Yeah, natural ones, you're fucked, dude. I can't do anything for you. You pissed off RNGesus, you've got to deal with that. I can't help you there.
Yes. It's levels of success.
Let me give you another one then. Let me give you another one then. Oh, this is a controversial one because you already know I beef with druids. I beef with druids in general. When using wild shape, should druids be allowed to use an animal's real life abilities? For example, squirrels can survive terminal velocity. So should a druid squirrel wild shape be able to take no fall damage? Or the octopus can squeeze into any hole bigger than its beak. Should a player be able to do that if they shift? What's your opinion on that?
This is getting into a territory. Let me take a puff. That's when you know shit's real. This is getting into a territory of reality versus imaginary.
Yeah.
If you start picking and choosing what you want to bring in from reality into imaginary, then why even do it?
Yep.
Why even do it?
Yep.
In the first place, to the best of my knowledge, unless they identify as it, no being can turn into another being, human into a squirrel, human into an octopus, in reality. It can happen in game, yes. but oh my gosh, I keep going back to always like communication, talk with your DM. How do the talk to your DM? Like, okay, sit down with your druid. These are the wild shapes I like. I would like to be able to do this. What are your thoughts on this? Have that conversation and say, well, they can't really do that, but they can do it in real life. Well, yes, but it's a hard thing. It's a hard thing to deal with and have the conversation on, because once you start saying, like, my octopus can squeeze through there, but there are specific built things to make that happen. At the other side of things, the only reason that they may change into an octopus is to get through that crack in that ancient underground temple door. You know what I mean? So there's hit or miss on both sides of things. It's just portrayed as reality versus imaginary and where that line is drawn.
Yeah.
And which way it can be skewed in favor of pure chaos or thematically accurate for an imaginary game.
Yeah, I feel like this would be really cool if you set yourself up like a completely new settings, like an Animorphs. You remember the books, the Animorphs?
Absolutely. 100%.
Okay. I feel like it would be really cool if you created a campaign in a setting where like all the players were humans, and they were human druids, and they could wild shape. And that's their
Druids
only
only campaign.
They can just wild shape, right? That's it. All they can do is wild shape, but they're the actual creatures. So someone turns into a gorilla, now you're an 800-pound fighting machine, you know? Or you turn into a squirrel, and look, squirrels can survive terminal velocity. That doesn't mean terminal velocity doesn't fuck a squirrel up, okay? You know, like this wouldn't even work that way in D&D, even if you were to put this in there.
No.
You would survive with 1 hit point or something.
You're still getting, you're still taking damage just because, absolutely.
Yeah, so like, I mean, and then you have areas where like, you have what I call D&D or YouTube Shorts syndrome, where like people who love D&D will have their YouTube Shorts will just be people's YouTube videos of them telling them, here's how to do this crazy, insane build to do 9 million damage in 1 turn.
Yeah.
And it's like you take a druid and you wild shape into a fucking diplodocus, which is a giant long necked dinosaur. And you take your diplodocus and you just stomp on everything because you weigh 500 tons. It's like, and scientifically, if you do the numbers, they are dealing 95 million damage per unarmed attack. And it's like, like what am I supposed to do with this? The rules of D&D are not a physics engine. This is why the peasant railgun doesn't work. You ever heard of the peasant railgun?
I have not.
Oh, you're gonna love this. Okay, so in D&D, 1 turn lasts 6 seconds, right?
Yes.
So, or I'm sorry, 1 round of combat lasts 6 seconds.
Yes,
so everybody
correct.
taking their turn takes 6 seconds.
Yes.
So if you get enough peasants, like commoners, in a line who have their turns one after the other, they can pass an arrow, 1 single arrow, or 1 heavy object or something to each other using their actions.
I've heard about that.
Yeah, and so if you use enough of them, then scientifically, because of how wide, a person is, and how far that item will have traveled by the time that 6 seconds has passed, you will be essentially shooting a railgun that will deal just infinite damage. It's like, no, that's not how it works, because D&D is not a physics engine. It doesn't work that way. That's not how items work, because at the end of the day, it would just be someone throwing an arrow as an improvised weapon, and they deal 1d6. And that.
However, if you do want to delve into the science behind spells and whatnot, the Gorilla of Destiny has just released a new book called the Science Spellbook over on Drive-Thru RPGs. Bold attempt to remind everyone that science is just as, if not more fascinating, than magic of TTRPG games. Taking real scientific concepts such as general relativity, quantum mechanics, and classical mechanics, and turn them into over 100 spells usable in your game of 5e. Go take a look at that. I've been keeping tabs and watching him as he was working through his process of creating this, and that is legit taking like quantum mechanics and the general relativity into the creation of spells, and it's insane. If you want to delve that way, go have a look. Links in the chat. Yeah, but that's real life in game.
I would say the answer is no, because that's not what D&D is for.
Yeah,
it's just if you wanna do that, that's fine. You just shouldn't be playing Dungeons and Dragons. This is not what it is. If you want to steal cars and rob banks, you should be playing GTA.
Yeah.
If you want to fly a spaceship and fight pirates, you should be playing Starfield. It's just like
it's hard with the two examples that were given. The squirrel one, absolutely not. You're gonna fucking die, or you're gonna be like almost completely dead type thing. The octopus thing, thinking about it, I can kind of see that being like used in game for that reason, specifically to do something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Case by case basis, DM discretion always, but with the reminder of this ain't fucking real life.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. We fucking fly. We do magic. Like,
yeah,
it's one of those things.
At the end of the day, it's just that a lot of people want their game to be everything. It's the problem that Destiny 2 is having right now, is that Destiny 2, which, I mean, it has PvP, but Destiny 2 is a PvE game. It is a MMORPG. And right now, the PvP players are kind of upset because the PvP side is kind of getting neglected. But it can't be everything, you know? And some people are just so connected to the game that they're playing that they can't just accept this game isn't for what I want it to be. Some people just can't accept that, hey, look, Destiny is not really for PvP. Let me just go play Overwatch or something like that, you know? If you want to do this in your tabletop game, this is fine. There are systems out there, and I promise you, creating a 5e, like a 5e-like system that can do this is not difficult. You can do it. This just isn't it. 5e just isn't the one. You should just go play a different system, and that's all.
There's a lot of good systems out there.
Yeah. There are some great, fantastic systems out there that are not D&D 5e. Now, in my opinion, D&D 5e is the best one, but that's okay. That's all right. It's okay to like bad things.
Yes.
Jesus, man. All right, give me one more, and then I got to roll out of here.
Yeah, I got you. All right. We'll give, let's see, which one? There you go. Illiterate DM horror story.
Oh, I was so looking forward to this when you pulled this up, because I know this is gonna be good.
r/RPG horror stories from Druid __81.
I'm already beefing with this person. We got
it's meant for you.
Name.
It's meant for you.
Bad start. All right, here we go.
All right, my first ever time playing D&D years ago was a shit show. Me, the only woman, and 6 other dudes recently finished high school and decided to start a campaign. We decided to meet every Saturday at my boyfriend's, back then's, house. I invited Y's best friend. I invited my best friend and his friend. My boyfriend invited his best friend, who we'll call B. Okay, so we have B and OP. I hadn't spoken to B very much, but he was in most of my classes my entire life. He didn't talk much, but we had one altercation recently because he saw that I had a Panic at the Disco shirt and grilled me over about how I didn't listen to real music, and how the only acceptable rock bands were Kiss and AC/DC and such. So I was a little bit wary of B. Jesus. B had a group chat and let us know that before the meeting with everyone, must bring one food item to share and our prepared character sheets. My best friend and I were both new to D&D, but did plenty of work making our characters, even drawing them and giving them some backstories. Good on you. I happily showed up to the game night with my tiefling rogue, who was your common local thief and scammer. Immediately after we presented all our characters, B chose me out for making a tiefling in this part of the world that was apparently a wood elf region. No one was told any info about our campaign beforehand, and we all agreed with the DM, but he insisted that my character has to stay hidden from all local NPCs unless I wanted to be captured and tortured. However, our other party members included a Goliath, an Asimar, a Turtle, and Charles Xavier from X-Men inserted into the game. But my tiefling wasn't allowed. We continue on to begin the actual story. B pulls out the book and starts reading, but he can't read. We're all 18 to 19-year-olds at the time, and he could hardly read. He was in all the same classes as me. We're all native English speakers who grew up in the same small church. He, as far as I know, had no disabilities of any kind. Three of us are high-functioning autistic, but he was not one of them. He insisted on being DM despite three other members having DM experience, and he can't read. B reads out something like, everyone is sitting around the local tavern, drinking and mingling. I'm having trouble reading. Drinking and mingling with other adventurers. Suddenly, a noble-looking mad enters the bar with promises of gold for anyone willing to find a relic for him. He could not pronounce several of the words and had to ask for help because he wasn't familiar with word mingling. My best friend accidentally, man, I can't. My best friend accidentally laughed at this. Rude on his part, but to be fair, we are hardly adults, and this was not surprising. My boyfriend and B immediately started cussing our best friends out. Oh my gosh. Immediately starts cussing us out, comma. Best friend leaves. Yeah.
People, grammar, people.
We continue on, and B has my character. We all started at level 3, killed our first battle by a level 8 goblin, and that I cannot be revived or start over.
Yikes.
It's a little bit of a rough one to read.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead, because I've got some shit to say about this one. Go ahead, man.
First off, everyone has their opinion. You can have discussions with people debating your opinions, or say, hey, you know what? Not a huge fan. I like this stuff. But saying that the only acceptable rock bands are Kiss and AC/DC and such, some may have that opinion, but outwardly berating someone over a t-shirt is not cool. That's kind of a red flag. And then jumping into a game and someone creating a character and telling them, your character does not belong here. Why would you create them? They need to stay hidden.
Mm-hmm.
You gave no information for them to create their character. You decided, maybe you had this information beforehand, right? Where they were going to be. You had your campaign set up. Cool. Easy enough. But once they created your character without that information, you explicitly decided to continue to make your campaign exactly how it is, regardless of how the character was made. You can 100% as a DM say, well, okay, yeah, sure. Elves know a little bit about tieflings. They're going to be a little wary, but don't tell a player your character should not be here. They're going to need to stay in the back. That is not fun for anyone. Now, jumping into the illiterate portion, people have problems. People have issues reading. People have dyslexia. People have mental issues. That is not anyone's fault. So I think discussing this in this forum is kind of not the way to go about it. If they want to attempt to DM to try to bring that out in themselves and help themselves read better, if they don't read very well, or come out of their shell if they're an introvert, because 90% of the DMs are introverts and don't fucking like people and want to get out there, right? It's just, and saying that 3 of you are high functioning autistic individuals is that is okay to say. However, as far as you know, not knowing that this individual had any disabilities or reading speech impediments or whatnot, that is not your place to say that shit. You may not know. They're allowing themselves to be vulnerable in front of you by trying to do this new task along with you. So there's a handful of things that put me back and forth on what I think about this post. But yeah, what do you think?
Okay, so first off, this person's not illiterate. We got clickbaited. we got clickbaited, man. This person is not illiterate. I've met illiterate people. This person was not illiterate. They had some trouble reading. They didn't have the best reading comprehension and stuff, but
yeah,
this person was not illiterate. So that's a little bit abrasive. Let's calm down there.
And he can't read.
Yeah, we got 2 strikes against us, Druid 81. You're calling people illiterate and you use grammar like this, all right? We're me and you are beefing, all right? But yeah, let's start from the top. I don't really listen to real music and how the only acceptable rock bands are Kiss and AC/DC. First off, you're just wrong. You're just wrong. God, Kiss and AC/DC are not. Oh my God. Stop. No, stop. Jesus, man, I can't even get past that. Oh, okay. This part. No one was told any info about our campaign beforehand. This is fine as long as you're not going to punish certain players for the race they play.
Yes.
If you're going to play a world where tieflings are like, it's normal for tieflings to be shunned and sort of be shied away from and avoided. It is not normal for tieflings to be hunted down, tortured on sight. That is not normal in a D&D campaign.
No.
At least none that I've ever read or seen. And not good. Not good. Don't do that.
That is not D&D Raw.
Yep. Nope. Don't do that.
Not canon.
Talking to your players first.
Yes.
Tell your players first. But look, I have some difficulty having sympathy for an 18 or 19-year-old who went through every year of school. This isn't a dropout or anything. This one graduated high school.
Yep.
Maybe I'm in the wrong here, and I'm willing to accept that. In fact, I'll say I probably am. But I feel that this is a person who chose to not be able to read. And when I say that, I mean that I knew plenty of people who did not have very good reading skills, knew that they did not have very good reading skills, and would still be in the back playing switch 'em during English class.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, can't do anything for you. It's kind of your fault that you can't read now, bud. I'm sorry. That said, I don't know this person's story, so I won't pass that judgment on him.
Yeah.
He insisted on being DM despite 3 other members having DMing experience. You shouldn't be saying, hey, no, you can't be DM because I have experience. Let new people DM. We need more of them.
Yes.
As long as they're 100%. Not
100%.
signing up on startplaying.com and taking our customers, that's fine. Again, and he can't read. Like, you're making it seem like this is such a bad thing. The person can clearly read. You said
they read
out something like this person can clearly read. Not very well, and they struggle, but that's fine.
That's fine.
Look, my best friend accidentally laughed at this. This is the rough part.
Yeah.
Because I'm not gonna lie, I would probably have laughed too. when I was 18 years old, if one of my friends cracked open a book after insisting that he be the one that has to read the entire session,
Mm-hmm.
and then we find out this motherfucker can't read for shit, I'm gonna laugh, okay? I'm sorry. That's just what it is. That's funny. That's like, what is it? Ironic comedy? Like that's literally ironic comedy.
Yeah.
Like the person that demanded that they be allowed to read the whole session can't read. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
come on, dude. It's not that rude. It's not that big of a deal. As long as you go, hey, you giggle a little bit, hey, my bad, continue, and as long as that's the end of it, it's probably fine.
Yeah.
But my boyfriend and B immediately start cussing us out. Best friend leaves. Okay, so
That's a
your
toxic
boyfriend
table.
sounds like a prick.
Yeah.
B
Yep.
sounds like a prick. Wait, no, I'm sorry. B doesn't sound like a prick. B was the one getting laughed at. I understand getting defensive.
Yes.
But your boyfriend sounds like a prick because that is like an objectively funny thing. That is a thing that someone is going to laugh at. And that's okay as long as he's not like holding it over his head and teasing him with it. But like cussing somebody out to the point that they leave is like really coddly and really like baby treatment for someone who, like you said, they've been your friend throughout high school since y'all were kids. Like this is a grown adult. They're getting laughed at one time should not be the end of their world. You probably shouldn't react like that to that. But at the end of the day,
Man.
I think I know this isn't am I the asshole, but you know what? Druid __ 81, you're the asshole.
I feel like you're the asshole.
Yeah, you're the asshole. One, for listening to Panic at the Disco. Two, for not sticking up for your friend when he laughed at something that was objectively funny and like letting him get cussed out and kicked out of the room. And three, for shitting on someone who you claimed was your friend
Yeah.
for having trouble reading when your ass has the fucking grammar and spelling ability of a literal grade school child. Okay? This is all kinds of fucked. If I had a friend, and I have had friends who struggle to read,
Right.
struggle to have other skills, friends who struggle with math in certain ways, I don't air their shit out on the internet and go, this motherfucker can't read. I don't say that. I go, hey, look, buddy, hey, you're no good at math. Hey, I'm not great at division, but I can teach you what I know about multiplication or about geometry a little bit. Hey, let me see what I can do for you. I taught middle school for a year. I had 12 and 13-year-old kids in my class who could not read, who could not do basic math, and we didn't laugh at them. We didn't air them out and go, hey, hey, look, the kid signed up for AP math and he can't even do simple multiplication. Come on. No, we didn't do that. We went, hey, how can I help you out, buddy?
Yep.
What can I do for you to make you better at something that clearly...
Exactly.
I mean, he put himself... Here's the thing. He didn't just find out that he can't read.
Yeah.
Okay, he knew, all right? He put himself in an environment with people he felt he could trust.
Yes.
And he said, I'm going to put myself in a situation where I'm going to probably struggle, but I may learn some new words. I may learn reading comprehension better.
Yes.
And I'm going to have a fun time doing it with my friends. And when your friend laughed at what is like just the smallest thing, which B can probably admit is probably a pretty funny thing. When your friend laughed, you made his inability to read an even bigger deal by treating him like the coddled short bus kid who needs to be protected from everybody laughing at him. and then writing a whole Reddit post about how he can't read and how ridiculous and silly it is that he can't read.
Because he was unfamiliar with the word and he had trouble pronouncing a few words and he asked for help.
Yeah. Like, oh, don't get me started. Don't get me started, Vito. Don't get me started. Oh, no, man.
Druid __81. You ain't it. You ain't
Druid
it.
_81. You're. Oh. Look, buddy, I don't think you're a bad person. Bad people exist, and I don't think you're one of them. But look, you're well on your way, all right?
You're teetering.
As I said, you're already, like, I know you didn't have the best start. Some people are born black. Some people are born poor. You were born a Panic at the Disco fan, all right? That's your struggle in life, all right? That's what God gave you. But Jesus Christ, you're not making it any better by writing a post like this, man. If your friend can't read, help him learn. Okay? That should be the end. That should be the end of it. Nothing's gonna help him learn more than sitting at a table with his friends, reading a book to them where he can ask for help and go, hey, what does this word mean? What does this word mean? Oh, yeah. Jesus Christ. Oh.
Well, that was fun.
I don't.
My the last one was a good one. A good one to discuss.
Empty, Vito.
Yeah.
I've borne my soul out to you and Twitch, and I just.
Yeah. It was a rough one to read, and it probably shouldn't have been written. But you are entitled to your opinion. 100%.
Yes. You are entirely allowed to be wrong.
Yes.
Yes. And look, I love you for that, Druid, because you know what? Everybody's character development starts with them being wrong. So it's okay.
Start somewhere. You're on your arc.
I would say, because it doesn't really ask a question.
No.
It doesn't really ask a question, but I will give you an answer. How can you make this situation better? Next time, tell me a story about how your friend came to run D&D for y'all and he struggled on some words and asked for help. And you taught him what the word mingling meant. And you taught him some of the rules of reading. I before E, except after C. And things like that. You know, how you helped your friend who struggled to read get better at reading while playing a fun group role-playing game with him.
Yes.
That would be a much better story to read. I love you, Druid. I love you so much.
That's why D&D is here.
Yes. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
Heck yeah. Well, that was some stories over on r/RPG Horror Stories.
Vito.
Yeah.
Look, man, tell the people where they can get at you, bro. Tell them because they want more of you, man. They want the chaos.
Man, you can catch me over on twitch.tv/chaoticvito. Catch me over on my YouTube, Chaotic Vito everywhere. Catch me over on TikTok for some slamming short form content. Additionally, tomorrow over on twitch.tv/chaoticvito at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, you'll be able to see our Secret of the Fendelver's Pact, which is a D&D 5th edition campaign. It is the very last episode, very last session where the party will meet the big bad evil guy. And they may save the world, they may all die. We'll never know until you follow us over there tomorrow and sit in with us. But it has been an absolute pleasure. I appreciate you. Jungle Mud, hell yeah.
Of course, man. Hey, look, go check Vito out. He's an absolute dude, okay? Go check out his content. Have fun over there. His live play games are fantastic. His short form content on TikTok, it's so good that tonight, as soon as I finish this, I'm going to go stitch one of his TikTok posts and just absolutely rip his content for my own. It's mine now. I'm so sorry. Copyright infringement, I'm doing it. Fuck you. Um, um, Vito, man, we always have a great time. Look,
Hell yeah.
Vito's gonna be away from streaming for a couple months, so look, I want to get one more stream in with you before you go, right? So let me know either tomorrow or the day after, and we got to get one in. We got to play some games or do something.
Figure it out.
I need more chaos in my life, you know?
Pure chaos.
All right. Well, there's a lot of really great content coming down the pipe. I'm going to be collabing with Vito as much as I possibly can. He's going to get tired of me eventually. But until then,
Never get
we're
tired.
still here. So,
Hell yeah.
that said, I don't have anything else for you. At the end of the day, I hope you had a great one. If you like me, drop a follow. If you love me, go ahead and subscribe. You can do it for free with your Twitch Prime benefits if you're an Amazon Prime subscriber. And it helps me create more content. I hope you have a great night, a great weekend, a great month, a great season. I love you. Be safe. Have a great night.
I'm Chaotic Vito. You are awesome. Hey, let chaos reign. Have a wonderful night. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.